JCPS school teams are working hard to combat racism, eliminate inequities, and confront bias. We want to promote educational justice for students of color. The Diversity, Equity, and Poverty Office has provided us many tools to work with, and one area that we want to highlight is the EMPT tool. It's an overarching monitoring tool that guides our work. It stands for Equity Monitoring Progress Tool, known as the EMPT. The tool focuses on the following equity areas. Diversity in curriculum. We want to move the needle forward in diversity, equity, and curriculum in what we teach and how we teach it and how we assess our students. The EMPT tool monitors professional development and how we train our teachers and our staff to close the racial achievement gap, attend the Equity Institute, and to make sure what they are learning positively impacts students. The EMPT tool moves us in school culture and climate so our students have a stronger sense of belonging. The EMPT tool helps push us to staffing and classroom diversity, that our classrooms, our interview pools, and our actual hires actually reflect the demographics of our students of color in our schools. There's another component called Program Access that ensures students of color have access to advanced courses and extracurricular opportunities and transition ready and college and career readiness access. And finally, Reflections of Equitable Practice, which is called the REAP. It allows or pushes our administrators and school level teams to really look at our policies, our practices, and our procedures to make sure they're equitable for our students. We want to take a closer look at a few components of the EMPT tool and how it really comes to life inside a high school. I'd like to introduce Rob Folk, the principal of Iroquois High School.
I'm Rob Folk, the principal of Iroquois High School, and the EMPT tool calls for the enrollment among students of color to increase in accelerated educational courses and college readiness opportunities. So how we interpreted that on Iroquois' campus was we looked at the policies that we have in place for students to take dual credit, advanced, AP, and honors courses. We convened a committee of stakeholders, including our counselors, students, community members, and our staff, and asked the question, why do we have so many barriers in place for students to take advanced courses? And what we found was many of them were outdated and we had no good reason for them. So the solution that we landed on was that at Iroquois, a student may take an AP, dual credit, advanced, or honors course simply with one adult recommendation. And that adult can be a parent, that adult can be a staff member, an administrator, someone close to the student. But we wanted to be able to remove any of the barriers that we had in place to students taking advanced courses. A second opportunity that we found with the EMPT was that our self-contained behavior disorder room was 100% African-American males. And they had been in the self-contained room since middle school, some of them more than half of a decade. And we asked the question, what would happen if we moved them back into mainstream education with a robust collaboration model to support them? So we did that at Christmas break, and we made it policy and practice on campus that we will now facilitate a self-contained behavior disorder room as a result of our study using the EMPT document. Now I'd like to take a moment and turn it over to my assistant principal, Dr. Toetta Tall, who will further explain some of the use of the EMPT on our campus.
So I'm going to focus on, or I want to highlight some of the domains of the EMPT tool, which are school culture and climate, as well as the staffing component and professional development. And what we acknowledge here was the overall expectation of the school and culture climate, which is to ensure that it is welcoming of all racial identity and in its pact, and identifies and addresses cultural competence and fosters a sense of belonging for all students, the community, and families. And so the way in which we did that is we wanted to make sure all of our students have a voice. We want to make sure that all of our practices and professional development that we have here on campus foster equitable access for all of our students. And one of the ways in which we accomplish this task is just by starting at the initial foundation of what we wanted for our students and our staff here at Iroquois. And so we started by making sure that we provided professional development that address cultural competence and address awareness of staff as well as their implicit biases and how that impacts the way they engage with our students and families on campus. We ensured that they were trained and that they had training that would allow for them to reflect upon their implicit biases and how that ultimately impacts, as well as the unbiased curriculum, which is a component of the EMPT document. And so to ensure that we made sure that we had partnerships with different organizations on our campus, we started organizations such as the Young Women of Excellence and Men of Quality. And as we move forward, we're going to have an additional partnerships with other people who want to come in and promote cultural competence and relevance on our campus here at Iroquois. We welcome community guest members and other people who want to come in and help ensure that our students have a sense of identity and that they are acknowledged and their identity is acknowledged throughout the different things that we have going on our campus. When we're looking at staffing, we make sure that we offer opportunities for all candidates to apply and that we select staff who resemble the demographics of our community. We want to make sure that our students are able to identify with the people who work here and support them on a daily basis. So our goal is to make sure that we address the big pillars here at Iroquois High School and that they all reflect at the end of the day, ensuring that the culture and competence, that professional development, and that the staffing contributes to having an equitable school environment.
My name is Avon Cook, and I am a resource teacher with the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Poverty. I service JCPS high schools, and as our leaders have pointed out, we have a robust system of support in addressing racial equity at a district level. The EMPT is one of many documents from our department that is meant to help look at critically the curriculum, instruction, assessment, and professional development of our teachers. We understand through the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Poverty that no two JCPS schools are alike. Even if they serve similar student groups, every single school has different needs. Our goal is to be responsive to those needs, and the EMPT is one way we do that. Through a very crucial look at what these school systems are doing, the EMPT permits school leaders to address the racial equity policy at a district level and bring that down to a school level so that the work they are doing is critically analyzing the way in which they are supporting racial equity. Through the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Poverty, through a team of RTs, we are always available to provide support and clarity in terms of professional development to further this work.
In closing, the high school team is committed to improving a sense of belonging for all students in our high schools. We want to make sure that they transition for life, college ready, career ready, with hope. And we want to do that through this EMPT tool. We know it's helping us grow from initial stage to growing to embedded to dynamic and robust. This is not a one-time training or a one-time event. This is working. This tool helps us monitor and to grow and to really reinforce that these strategies become embedded, robust practices in all 27 of our high schools. Our job is to make sure students graduate ready for life. And we know these final 4 years in their high school experience is critical. And this tool, with the help of our principals and our talented teachers and our RTs in the Diversity, Equity, Poverty Division, that we're going to get this accomplished. Our job is to go from implementation to impact. And we know it'll change the lives of our students and our families and our school system. The EMPT tool, EMPT, check it out and help use those strategies and strands to grow every school in JCPS.